Hey, that was fire.
I loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever, guys, you're watching this. That was the first time that they actually saw that. I wanted to make it a little surprise, and
That was fire.
Looks like they dig it. So that being said, I hope y'all like it too. That being said, welcome to episode 7. We made it to 7 episodes, so welcome to episode number 7 of the Next Up Fantasy Show. I'm Will, of course, as always. I got my 2 bros along with me, and we're doing this on a Friday night instead of a Thursday because, let's just face it, we are always just looking at the game while doing all this at the same time. So no games, no problem. We ain't got to worry about that. First introduced, let's go with Mike. Mike, how you doing?
Appreciate it, man. I'm doing well. Good to be with my guys. It's a Friday night, so it's a little different. We're not preoccupied with watching the game or anything like that. Give you 100% attention. Not like we weren't doing that before, but now it's even more intact. But yeah, we're doing our thing, man, and I'm happy to be here. How you guys doing?
We doing all right. And Mr. Manny being Manny, how is it going?
It's good. It's Friday. I'm pumped. We don't have to work tomorrow. Well, I don't have to work tomorrow. I don't know about Will and Mike, but I don't have to work tomorrow. So I'm pumped. We got to watch a good game last night. Finally got to watch a Thursday night game instead of recording, and I'm trying to watch it during the podcast. So, but there was some bad news that happened on Thursday, and I guess we'll talk about it soon.
This is pretty much you whenever we recorded on Thursday. You're like this every time.
Yeah, it was until you would cut me off guard when Mike would go big screen. I would just like, me like that.
But yeah, just like Manny said, we got to start with the news and notes, and this one is a little bit more serious than what we usually start with. Pretty much, this is going to be what the news and notes are going to be about this week. It's a combination of injuries, but first we're going to go with the one that was a little bit more serious, the one that happened last night. We're just going to go with calling it the Tua situation. So for those who were living under a rock on Sunday and on Thursday, so Sunday, Tua ended up getting hurt during the game, and the way that he was walking around while trying to get back up, he was not really limping, but he kind of like fell down while trying to walk off the field or whatnot, and that's very concerning. And from there, the doctors ended up saying, all right, my man's is good. He's ready to play on Thursday. If he had a concussion back then, just heard about it this morning that the usual chances of getting one again in 4 to 5 days later, if you keep on doing the physical performances that he does, especially with him being the quarterback. And lo and behold, it went down again during the second quarter of last night's game. Tua got sacked, and then from there, what was the most disturbing part, if you guys want to watch the video, go ahead, just check it on YouTube. It's everywhere. But the most disturbing part was the way that he had his fingers up after the sack. Like, it kind of made it seem like that he couldn't move anything. It kind of also looked like he was just trying to check to make sure that he was okay and things like that. And then from there, Teddy Bridgewater ended up finishing up the game. But they disagree, or they do agree. So one of the questions that I'm gonna just simply say is, should he have been out for the game yesterday? And I don't think this is really going to be that much of a conversation where we agree or disagree in this case. But let's go ahead and start with Manny, since he already answered it hella quickly. Should he have been in there at all? And what are your general thoughts?
He shouldn't have played at all. They should. It seems like Miami might get sued over this. There was former NFL players saying when you shake your head when you're coming up, that's a key sign to concussion. The guy fell over when he got up. and they claimed it was his back. Maybe he was complaining about his back. And did you hear the questions that they potentially asked? Like, what day is it? Well, I'm playing football. It's probably Sunday. And they asked like some other random question that they could answer. But former NFL players were saying when I could answer them and got back in the game, but when I left the stadium, I had no idea how to get home. So they need to reamp this concussion protocol. This is probably going to be the start of this, because this was only 4 days ago. And to have he got whipped down pretty hard, and to have like 2 back-to-back concussions, they usually say it's like the worst the second time if you actually have a concussion. And it looks like that's what happened with him. I'm glad that he was okay and was released from the hospital, but I'm curious on what's going to happen with the NFL. That isn't it the NFL? They have like a doctor there that kind of says he could go in, but the NFL or in Miami Dolphins could potentially get sued.
Like, it was kind of disappointing to see in the first place, as far as all that going down. I mean, just like you said, I'm glad that he ended up getting out of the hospital to pretty much be released and say that he's all right. But of course, the biggest situation and the biggest concern here is not only just him playing football. And I know we're a fantasy show, but we care. We feel that what's more important is whether or not if the guy is going to be okay just in general, just in life, because there's more to it than just him playing the game and all that. So, yeah, I totally agree as far as the doctors or whomever said that he could play, that they should get sued, because that's a very scary situation. And Tua's already been through some negative injury situations in his career, going back from Alabama. And it's one of those things where it's like this is more important than football. But like we still have to discuss it one way or another. Even though if it's something that we're not the biggest fan of talking about. Mike, what was your thoughts when everything went down? And pretty much same question: should he have played at all?
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate to see that. I'm a big Tua fan. I appreciate the way the guy plays. I think he's a good guy. So that being said, no, I don't believe he should have been out there. I think the Miami medical staff should be held accountable for whatever the result is of him being out there. Like I said, the guy had just been concussed, I believe, 5 days earlier. So it being a Thursday night game, kind of soon after the first incident, I don't really feel like they looked out for the best interest of the player, and that's unfortunate. I understand that the NFL is it's a business like anything else, and they want to put the best product on the field. These coaches are, their livelihoods are determined by how many games they win. So it's kind of just like a perfect storm for something like this to happen to someone who might not be ready to go back out there and play, but the coach might feel this person gives him a better chance to win. So it's unfortunate. And I'd never seen anything like that. The way his hands looked after he got hit was scary. I thought the dude could be paralyzed. There definitely was neurological damage done, and just my prayers up for the dude. But I don't think he should have been out there. And I for one think there should be definitely an investigation done on Miami, and whatever the results of that will be, what it will be. But they had that young man out there, and I don't think he was ready to play.
Yeah, that was uber ridiculous about all that. And Teddy Bridgewater could have held his own. Yeah. Like they could have took their time with Tua. We understand that like it's a competitive game, and we all been competitors in our lives one time or another. But the older that we personally got, the more we understand how more serious it is to pretty much watch for yourself, which is kind of the reason why some football players retire early, which is the reason why like a situation like this should have never happened. There's really no like positive way to get past this situation or subject. The only thing that we all here at Next Up Fantasy, the only thing that we could really say is get prayers up, get well soon to and hopefully just overall, hopefully you get better. So this is going to be a very awkward segue though, going from the Tua situation to talking about all these injuries around the league where there's a multitude of players, and it's not just any players. It's a multitude of players that are not going to be able to play this weekend, which are significant in the fantasy world. I went ahead and wrote this down because there's that many people. So let's go ahead and get started. Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift for Detroit. Christian McCaffrey, those two are out. Christian McCaffrey is questionable again, so we don't know if he's actually playing or not. Jameis Winston is doubtful. Michael Thomas is out. Mac Jones is out with a back issue. Chris Godwin with a game time decision. Keenan Allen is out. David Montgomery is out. Kadarius Toney, I believe that's your boy, Mike. He's out, and Hunter Renfrow is out. And that's just like the beginning of it all. And there might be others that will eventually not play, but as of right now, that we know who is not going to be playing, and that's on top of all the players that we already know that was already going to be out, like a Dak Prescott, like let's call it what it is, a Trey Lance, just like multiple other players. So my question from here is, out of all those players, who do you feel, or is there anyone that you feel is going to be who has like the highest significance for their team as far as who got injured, or who's not going to play? Anyone could start off.
Go ahead, Mike. As you guys tell, I've been messing with my nose, and I'm dealing with a bloody nose as we recording this podcast. Do not know how it happened, so it's just randomly going. So that's
a good damn question there, Manny. How did you?
I'm playing injured. You're talking about injured players. I don't know what happened. I'm bleeding my own blood.
Take a salt tablet. You'll be fine.
Yeah, Mike, go first. I'll be back.
No problem. Yeah, you're good. You're good. So, out of all the injured players, you're asking me who is affecting their team the most by being injured, pretty much?
Right.
That's a good question. Injuries all around the league. This is true. I would say right now, I wouldn't say Dak Prescott, because obviously it seems like the Cowboys are doing fine without him, even though I do think he's better than Cooper Rush, but they seem to be able to keep the track or keep the train on the tracks while he's injured. So out of the injuries that are going on around the league right now, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think maybe the Amon-Ra St. Brown injury could be the most impactful. I'm not sure whether he'll play Sunday. I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard some people say that he will be ready. I've heard some people say that he won't. But if he does not play, I think that'll be probably the most impactful injury for fantasy players, because I mean he's been killing this year. Honestly, he's been putting up great numbers. Jared Goff and him seem to have a great connection between the two of them, and there's really nobody else in Detroit who really challenges him as a true receiver. I mean, maybe when the rookie Jameson Williams or
Jameson Williams,
when he gets back, then maybe that'll be a true challenge to his number one spot. And I like that guy, but right now he's kind of the guy who's been kind of the beneficiary of the majority of the targets, and he's looked good. He's been a really good, really impactful fantasy player so far this year. So I think his injury right now is probably the most impactful, but we'll see moving forward.
So first of all, Manny, are you feeling better?
Man, when it gets dry, when it gets cold here in Michigan and it gets dry, ever since I was a kid, I would just get random bloody noses, and I don't understand. I don't know if you guys saw, I was trying to hold it back, and then I went down and tried to wipe my nose with a paper towel, and I was like, I gotta say something. I can't keep going like this.
Right.
Because we were gonna have questions.
Yeah. My fear is when you
sitting there why is he doing this?
My fear was when you zoom in my face, I'm just gonna have blood just coming out.
I mean, in anime, that means that you're excited. So
Yeah,
that,
it's pretty much.
it could be that too. You're just excited to be here on the Next Up Fantasy Show, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So as far as my answer, it may be a surprising one, but I'm gonna go with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, like there's a chain reaction now to him slowly getting a little bit better, and not only that, the peers around him, the players around him, my man Chris Olave, slowly starting to actually get it. I got it. Is slowly starting to get like the credit that he deserves. Michael Thomas, even though he's out, is also was also like getting some well deserved credit as well. Alvin Kamara becomes relevant whenever Jameis Winston plays. But right now, we got former Cowboy Andy Dalton that's going to be starting. That's going to officially be starting on Sunday. Forgot who they play, but like just the fact that like it's going to be the Red Rocket now throwing to Chris Olave. So maybe there's going to be some positivity there, maybe. But also Taysom Hill, the everyone's favorite gadget guy, was throwing some quarterback reps too. But like it's not the same without having Jameis Winston and on the sidelines. So like I kind of feel that like everyone pretty much gets like downgraded a little bit, and that includes Alvin Kamara. Manny, after fixing himself up,
I'm dealing with injury.
Who do you got, bud?
I would say, well, I heard Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then my next one was Jameis Winston. So you guys went back to back on me. But I mean, did you put on like, because I was gone, Amon-Ra St. Brown with DeAndre Swift? That's their like two best players on their offense not playing. Yeah, they were supposed to like kill the Seahawks, but without their offense, I mean, is Jared Goff going to be Jared Goff without his two best weapons is kind of where I'm thinking. But also you got Mac Jones that's out, and you got Brian Hoyer, my guy, my Michigan State alum, going in and playing Green Bay Packers. Whenever there's a quarterback that's your starting quarterback, except 49ers, that gets injured, there's usually a digress, right? And I guess the Cowboys as well, because our backup seems to be doing really well. But it just seems like it's a bigger impact when the quarterback goes down. The Green Bay defense is gonna destroy the Patriots, and I hope you guys picked them up in your fantasy leagues. So those two, I agree with Jameis Winston, but they do have Taysom Hill that knows the system, but it's a new system, right? So you can't really go off that.
Right.
And like I said, the Detroit Lions losing both their key players is kind of scary. If you're like we were just talking before in a Survivor pick 'em, if both those players were healthy, I was going to pick the Lions because it's like the only opportunity you get to be like, yeah, I think I might go Lions here, but I got to go away with them. I think I'm going Green Bay.
Now I'm going to say for the Lions defense, for their defense, Josh Reynolds actually is not a terrible wideout, and he has played pretty okay in the place of an Amon-Ra, and they still have DJ Shark from Jacksonville who's over there now, and he was a wide receiver number one for the team, so he somewhat knows how to play, and at least Jamal Williams, probably one of the better. Can you really call him a backup? Like, if he is, then he's probably the best backup in the league. So like I feel Detroit will still be okay, generally, but I do also agree with your your answer as well with a Mac Jones. Like,
how about this too? Because no one's really talked about this. Delvin Cook might not play either, and they're going to London, so they're playing the early game.
So they need that decision really quick.
Yeah, and he had that soldier injury last week against the Lions, so he might not even play either. And that one's going to be a killer because it's the early game on your fantasy. He's starting, and then what happens if you wake up for you guys on the West Coast, the game starts at like 6 a.m. You
Yeah,
wake
it's still
up,
early.
you wake up and you're expecting Cook to play, and you look and he's like out. That's gonna be.
We'll have the information by before then, probably tomorrow night. As far as an official word,
we will. But the normal fantasy football player that doesn't check like too often will not get that information before they go to bed. I put money. There's going to be a lot of people that have them and
that have Dalvin Cook on. Yeah, no, that I'll agree with. But Alexander Madison is still a pretty solid backup. So
yeah.
So if you guys haven't picked him up already, like, well, he was probably already drafted if you want to be honest. But like. Sometimes drafting backups like that is not really the biggest moves, but if some people do it, then it's on them. So we're gonna go ahead and actually try to lighten things up and get away from injuries and all that. And we're just gonna do a simple question answer. We're gonna do who's your biggest surprise this year, who's your biggest disappointment this year, and let's call a shot as far as who's gonna do well, whether or not they're doing well now. For the rest of the year. So let's go ahead and start off with the surprise of the year. I'm gonna go ahead and go first, and he was a person that I touted about during the draft season excuse me. As far as being a good value based on how the two were linking up on the only preseason game they have, and that's Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, I remember watching the game that the third preseason game that he had with Trevor Lawrence, and that's like pretty much now that there's only 3 preseason games. That third one is like the one that's kind of like a hint of what may become when everyone gets started to play for the next year. And Christian Kirk was getting 38% of the target share. Like 38 is uncalled for. Like Justin Jefferson, that's Justin Jefferson numbers. That's Cooper Kupp numbers. That's Devontae Adams pre-Raiders numbers. I needed the word of that properly. But those type of numbers are whether or not if he even gets like half of those, that's still decent. He doesn't have to be your wide receiver 1, but like those are the type of numbers where if he catches even half of that 38%, he's still going to be okay and have like a decent yardage and still likely get a touchdown. 2 of the last 3 weeks, that's exactly what Christian Kirk has done. Like he's gotten the touchdowns. He's gotten like I believe at least 7 catches each game. So like he's like if you ended up drafting him and then from there he ends up being your second wide receiver or your flex, like you're likely sitting pretty right now. Mm-hmm. Especially with the rest of the team that you likely got. Let's go with Mike for his pick as far as who do you have that's been a surprise this year?
My bad.
On me last week.
Hold the will, man.
I'm a verb now. Okay.
Yeah, man, you are. Hey, man, we're trying to get it done. As far as a surprise for me this year, I don't know, Will. I honestly forgot. Didn't I tell you who I had as a surprise? Who'd I have, man? Who'd I have?
I need you to remember these things, Mike.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is what it is. I freestyle these, man. Like so.
Oh, Mike's awesome.
Who'd I have? Didn't we did discuss these things? I thought you were putting it into the. Not depending on the tab.
I put it. Look. I did put it.
Was it Devin?
Telling you this information for? Huh?
Devin Duvernay or
no, it wasn't. I remember now. It wasn't Devin Duvernay. It was actually Jamar Chase, right?
No,
biggest disappointment. Not disappointment.
We're doing surprises. We're doing surprises right now.
Surprise.
we're having fun. We're having fun, y'all.
No.
We'll get better in 6 years. So how about
would need to be edited.
I'll throw you a bone. There. Do you remember now?
No, that was mine, Will.
That wasn't even mine, man.
No. Actually, no. Wait. No, actually, you know what's not fair? Because
Will messed up.
We talked about this beforehand, and then from there, like it's Manny that ended up like saying like 6 damn answers.
No, don't put this on me.
I am putting it on you because you know who the other guy is. Okay.
Now, this is it. This is it. From now on,
that better?
That was Mike's.
Exactly. You did both Cordell and Garrett.
You know what? I take full blame. From now on, I will come prepared. I need to write these things down because obviously Will is not going to put the damn tab on the bottom.
Will set us up.
So
Will set us up that he didn't even know who the player was.
Yeah, man. I mean,
as many times as y'all set me up. Let's not go there.
All right.
Y'all can't remember what to say. I need y'all to write this shit down.
This episode's been nuts. We had all this happen. I had a bloody nose.
Yeah, bloody nose. We got Mike. We got Mike's mic muted.
Yeah,
and you're throwing out different players.
And I'm throwing out different players, and we're talking about like Tua injuries and shit.
Right. No, we're definitely.
This is our week. We're done. No,
we're definitely
today, and look what happened.
Right. We're definitely wilding out. Friday nights maybe not be the move, right?
Maybe we're too relaxed on Fridays. That could also be it too.
But no. In all seriousness, I'll get back to what we're supposed to be doing, right? And Cordell Patterson, as it's on the bottom, I can see it, no doubt. Cordell Patterson, it would probably definitely be the guy I would pick for this because honestly, I mean, I thought last year might have been a little bit of a fluke. He never really played the running back position before. He was kind of thrust into that position. He was a punt returner, a kickoff returner, kind of a gadget wide receiver before that. So he's kind of thrust in that position, and he excelled. And I wasn't completely sure he could keep that up this year. I actually like Algier, the guy behind him, the running back behind him. I thought he might kind of get into his timeshare as far as them not having to share the ball. That happened a little bit like in week 2, but not so much last week. So I think Cordell Patterson will be my pick for this segment of the broadcast, and I'll make sure I have the other guys I have written down so we don't have any other more issues.
Because as he's really old too, and he's still producing at a high level.
Yeah,
which I don't understand with Cordell Patterson, and just like you said, everyone else is kind of written him off as a 1-year fling, but like for him to keep going, even if it's only a couple weeks in, like to see him still be at this level and still be like the top guy and technically the only offensive option, honestly, for Atlanta. Even though, like, yes, Drake London is doing okay, but he's the only one that's been doing it consistently. Kyle Pitts is a dud right now, which kind of sucks. Marcus Mariota is doing his thing, but he's doing it as like a streamer, but not as a quarterback one or whatnot. But like, yeah, as weird as it sounds, Cordell Patterson is the consistent guy that's still doing it. Now, Manny.
Who's my guy, Will? No, I'm joking.
Are you sure?
Garrett Wilson is my guy.
Thank you. Okay.
No, the reason why he's my surprise is most of these rookie wide receivers are like peaking right now. So if you were to have one of these guys, they're probably your favorite player on your team right now because they're producing and you can put them in and you got them very like at a good deal where they're going in the draft board. But Garrett, let me break down some numbers. He played against Baltimore week 1, had 8 targets, 4 receptions. He had 52 yards. So it wasn't a great game, but with that 8 targets as your first game ever in the NFL, pretty good. I mean, he had Flacco. Second week, he played Cleveland Browns. he had 14 targets, and 8 receptions for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's insane for your second game in the NFL. Your third week, which was last week, they played the Bengals, which they lost, but he had 11 targets, 6 receptions, 60 yards. So that's around like 12 points if you're playing full PPR.
Right.
So he's like averaging 8, 14, 11 targets per game. This guy, for a fantasy option, is going to be a stud. They play the Steelers this week, so I'm curious on how it's going to work out because now Zach Wilson's coming back. I'm hoping Zach Wilson targets him. This is kind of like where I thought the Elijah Moore role was going to be, but it looks like it's Garrett Wilson. So I'm benching my Elijah Moore, and I actually got some Garrett Wilson. Hopefully that it pays off.
I'm actually curious as far as if Elijah Moore actually gets it moving forward. Excuse me. Just like you said, Zach Wilson is coming back in likely this week. Joe Flacco didn't do that terrible of a job, to be honest. And I'm also very curious in general how the rest of the team is how the chain reaction is going to be with your Michael Carters, with your Breece Halls and things like that. And there's I forgot the tight end name. I'm not sure if he's still in.
Tyler
is it Conklin? So very curious as far as how they all react to Zach Wilson, who, let's be kind of honest, probably the worst. He may have been the worst quarterback out of all five, out of those top 5 that got it. You don't think so?
Justin Fields.
Wow.
Can't throw the ball. Sorry, Mike. I know
No. It's okay. I disagree. I feel like Justin Fields. It's obvious. I feel like he has the least amount of weapons. So I feel like it's kind of unfair to kind of judge him at this point. But I mean, that being said, it hasn't been effective. They don't seem to really trust him. He only throws the ball like fucking 12 times a game. So, so it is what it is. You could very well be right, but he seemed like he could throw when he was in Columbus. I don't know what's happening.
I literally said Justin Fields to get you going.
He knows how to get you. He knows how to get all of us.
Yeah. So you could say Trey Lance because the only game he started was against Justin Fields, and what did he do?
Justin Fields won that. I just know we got the dub. And then
this is what he does
afterwards, in the slot. He was.
It could be Trey Lance, to be honest with you.
Could be, but it's not. So moving on.
No. Honestly, probably right now, if we're going by stats and all that results and what was expected and what we've seen, it probably honestly is Justin Fields. Hate to say it, but it probably is.
He's gonna get better. He just needs the weapons. Let's just call it what it is.
He needs another team. He needs another team. I could see Justin Fields going somewhere one day and maybe having a different outcome with a different squad. Maybe somebody who latches on with another team. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I can't remember last time Chicago's ever had a successful quarterback, so I don't know if he'll be able to do it there. No one has.
And Trey Lance would be a great running back. So.
He tries. Moving on. So, disappointment this year, besides Trey Lance being knocked out for the rest of the year, because you're smart. Actually, no. He'll get better.
Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk.
I mean, should I say some Cowboys there? I mean, do you want me to?
Who? Skip?
Who? Who's been a disappointment to you?
Dak. Disappointing.
Dak's not there, man.
That's disappointing. That's disappointing.
Yeah, I guess.
No, he's got a point. Debo hasn't been there either.
Debo's been playing though. Debo actually scored a little bit here and there. What's Dak been doing? Giving thumbs up.
He's sitting right next to Trey Lance.
Chilling.
They probably are.
With Elijah Mitchell.
With snacks.
Gotta have snacks.
You gotta have snacks. So who's the disappointment for your NFL season so far this year?
I can
Mike
take it.
doesn't know.
Yeah, I
Mike
can take it.
has no idea.
Do you remember your answer?
No, I actually don't. I think it could possibly be. Nah, yeah, I got you, man.
No, do you legit? Okay.
You guys gotta understand. You guys gotta understand, man. It's Friday. I teach school. I got parents emailing. A lot of things going on. So my fault if I got a little sidetracked. But
No, it was
I
great.
do remember.
It's great clippable content.
Yeah, I mean, edit it if you need to. But the way I look at it is, for this one, my disappointment this year for me, is Jamar Chase. Maybe I was stupid for investing a lot into the guy, but right now I think he's like wide receiver 13. So that's definitely not like what we're looking for if we drafted Jamar Chase, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has I think he has like 2 touchdowns on the season, 212 yards. They played 3 games. His contested catch rate isn't that great either. So it's just not what we were looking for. If we drafted Jamar Chase, probably where we took him, which is in the first round. I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. Joe Burrow doesn't really have the time to really find Jamar Chase on the deep routes and stuff like that. T. Higgins has seemed to, Manny's guy. He seemed to do okay with the situation that's going on, but yeah, Jamar Chase. I honestly, before the season started, believed he probably would be like wide receiver 1, like the best wide receiver in the league, right? Like I feel he's more talented than Justin Jefferson. I do, just from watching college ball and seeing what they did at LSU. Like Jamar Chase was the guy. Justin Jefferson kind of played sidekick to him. But yeah, that hasn't manifested this season so far. So as of right now, with the season still being young, at the end of the year, it could be completely different. But right now, I would say Jamar Chase is probably my biggest disappointment due to the expectations I had for him.
My biggest disappointment was the fact that technically was not your answer. I already have who you actually ended up saying, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. So we're gonna keep going.
No, Jamar Chase was my initial answer. I switched it, but then I went back to Jamar Chase. It ain't like you got the names on the bottom anyway. So I can say whatever.
Maybe I was trying to be prepared, but that's okay.
I gotta take it, what I gotta do. So yeah,
you should just give like a brief on the other guy, just so people know you're this other one.
So who's the other one?
The other one that I picked.
Put it on the thing.
Other than Jamar Chase, put it on the thing. I don't know.
You don't know.
I went
to mess with you again.
For crying out loud. There.
Allen Robinson, thank you. But look at that. But when we first came on the show, I told you guys I was going to do Jamar Chase. I had to look up stats to remember Allen Robinson. Yep. So I just went back to the original because you're not putting the stuff on the bottom anyway.
Yep.
Because you're not saying the right people or not making the choice of who.
I love this.
No one's gonna know I'm not saying the right people if you don't put the name on the bottom, like you haven't been doing. So what are you talking about?
I didn't have Jamar Chase down here.
This is the best episode. Everyone's gonna love this.
If this is your first time watching this show,
I wasn't expecting the names on the bottom. Am I wrong for that, man?
We're usually a little bit more organized. We're usually a little bit more organized, but like this is what happens when we do it on a Friday. So
this is what happens when you don't put the names on the bottom.
This okay.
Will did walk off. Will did walk off while you were just saying.
Matter of fact,
I'm sitting here like, bruh.
Oh, Will, you're gonna have fun clipping this episode.
I am. I'm gonna have so much fun clipping. There's gonna be like 6 or 7 reels about this. So
that's good.
Manny, who's your damn player?
Not Allen Robinson.
Who is it?
It's Justin Jefferson.
See, there you go.
Names on the bottom. There we go.
I took out Jamar Chase because I thought you put in Allen. You said Allen Robinson.
I'm just messing with you, man. It is what it is.
It is.
Mike and I have kids.
Friday night. There we go.
That's our excuse, right, Mike? We have kids.
Yeah, it's just
Justin Jefferson, because where you drafted him, you're excited week 1. Man, this guy put up 184 yards, 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns. This guy's gonna be the stud. Even though you draft him like in the 8th to 12th pick, this guy's gonna be the steal of the draft. Then he plays the Eagles and gets 12 targets, 6 receptions, 48 yards. Where I was saying those are the same stats as Garrett Wilson. You're gonna be like, why is that a surprise? But Justin Jefferson, you're kind of pooping on. Well, you didn't draft Garrett Wilson in the first round. So yeah, that's a disappointment. And then you have the Lions, their rival. This guy gets 6 targets, 3 receptions for 14 yards. 14 yards as your number 1 receiver. The guy you drafted before you drafted everyone else. And it's not looking good. They play New Orleans, like I said, in London tomorrow on Saturday morning. Lattimore is going to eat him up if they – no one gets points on Lattimore. As you could see, he gets in Mike Evans' head. Mike Evans wants to fight him. And if you look at the history of fantasy players that go against Lattimore, doesn't turn out well. So I think you're going to see Adam Thielen put up a good game, or they're going to have to put Justin Jefferson in the slot. But it's going to be – you're going to probably be disappointed in Justin Jefferson this week. So my thing is, what I'm getting at is watch this game. If Justin Jefferson gets not locked up, but Lattimore is going to hold him to if he gets like 5 receptions, 50 yards, you're going to be disappointed. And these fantasy managers are going to want to look to trade him. I'm waiting next week, and I'm going to target Justin Jefferson.
So here's a question. This is for, technically we should know the answer ourselves, but for the casual player that's watching the show, with everything that's going on with each and every team that he's been playing, and plus, as like you said, Marshawn Lattimore is going to be covering him. My answer is going to be yes. Should you start Justin Jefferson? Yes,
you have to. You can't not start a guy that you drafted so high and bench. It's like your first round pick. You always bench, or you have to start.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, when you're drafting that high, these are the people that you kind of put your faith in. You got to let it ride. So yeah,
exactly.
If you got him, you got to go with it.
Exactly. So making sure for the casual player. So for my pick, as far as like disappointment so far, is actually DJ Moore. And you guys heard me like throughout draft season, throughout this show. When we talk outside the show, I've been talking about DJ Moore like it was nothing. And he was always usually like a steal in the 3rd round, or I felt that he was a steal because of how he's been in the past, always getting 1,000 yards, regardless of who's throwing him the ball. But this season, like, I expected DJ Moore to do so much more because I felt that Baker Mayfield was a more competent quarterback than anyone else that he's had so far in his career. And like, he's not getting enough targets. He's gotten a touchdown. He's not Baker Mayfield isn't throwing the ball well enough. And hell, the Panthers aren't really playing that well in general. What are they? They're 1-2 right now, right?
Yep.
And that one was barely. And it had nothing to do with the offense. But like, I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of DJ Moore right now. Like, I ended up starting this past week. I ended up starting Christian Kirk over DJ Moore in a couple of leagues, and I thought that I was going to be crazy, and I thought there was the possibility DJ could have gone out or could have gone off, but he didn't. I want to give it like one more week, like another week or two, just to see if what's going on in Carolina is like a fluke or whatnot. But like, if it's to the point where they have to bring up who's the backup there, Kyle Allen. Like
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Oh, Sam Darnold is sure. Well, Kyle Allen, I think, is the 3rd. But yeah, Sam Darnold. Like, if it's to the point where we got to bring back Sam Darnold just so that they can have like competent plays and things like that, then by all means pull that trigger. Carolina, please do it. But outside of that, I think because of the fact that how silly that we've been all day today, let's just end the show with, is there anything else that you guys want to say? Just anything else?
He forgot his last question.
I guess.
I didn't forget the last question.
That's
like,
fine.
I didn't forget the last question.
I want to bring up something that, like, when you're like, you guys know fantasy. when you're drafting in the first round, RBs are crazy, right? You want to get an RB. You kind of like to go RB. That's like the most popular thing.
Mhm.
Whoever went RB is like really probably 0-3 right now.
Right.
Example, me. Because every running back, top 10 running back, has been horrible. You got Jonathan Taylor, horrible. Now, I guess not horrible. He's not doing what you want as the RB1. Christian McCaffrey, not doing great. Delvin Cook, not doing great. Najee Harris, not doing great. Joe Mixon, he scored last night, but he hasn't looked great. Elvin Kamara, horrible. Like all these guys that you picked in the top like echelon of players are not producing. My thing, I love to trade, and I'm looking at this. Try to go get some of these guys because there's a lot of fantasy managers that are very upset, just like the Justin Jefferson manager, that they're not producing, and they want to get them off their team. They could get some stuff for them. So why don't you go get these guys and see what you could get? Get Jonathan Taylor. You know they're going to be studs here shortly. What is this saying? The cream always rises to the top. They're just not producing right now. Get yourself package a deal and get Jonathan Taylor. Get Delvin Cook. Yes, he's injured, so people might want to be off him. Joe Mixon, get him. I would stay away from Alvin Kamara. I don't think he's producing that well. I don't know if it's going to continue. Najee Harris was another one I was so off on him. But there's some guys in the first round that you need to go grab as soon as possible.
And that's kind of similar to what happened with I've seen a lot of people trade CeeDee Lamb when Dak went out because of the expectation as far as when Dak may be out, as far as how long. Like a lot of people were looking for or were trying to trade away CeeDee Lamb because of that injury. I was actually one of the people that actually wanted to get CeeDee Lamb on trade or for trades, but like the package wasn't anything that they wanted. But yeah, this like around this time, like the injuries, excuse me, with the injuries that's been going on, with us having a better idea of what players and how good teams are and things like that, this is probably the best time now to slowly start to do packages for certain players, for certain teams, especially with those that you know is going to do better down the line. Which brings us to the final question, which I never forgot. Call the shot. So who's going to be one player, can name any player, that you feel that is going to be, let's call it fantasy relevant for the remainder of the year? I will go ahead and actually just go first. Because of the circumstances, I'm actually going to end up saying George Kittle.
Homer.
Originally, like you guys don't do it. Originally, my issue with George Kittle and not drafting him was the fact that it was going to be Trey Lance that's going to be the quarterback for the Niners all year. But now with the situation now with Jimmy G now being there, George Kittle is a little bit better, or a little bit more up closer to 100%. There's going to likely be more targets that's going to be headed his way. So I feel that George Kittle is going to be, I mean, technically Debo too, is going to be more fantasy relevant for the remainder of the year. What about Manny? Who do you have?
He hasn't been producing that well, but I think Leonard Fournette, when Brady gets his weapons back and people don't have to rely on Leonard Fournette, like they're basically not worried about the wide receiver core. But when Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin all come back, it's going to open it up for Leonard Fournette. So that's another trade guy. I'm telling you, I'm big on trades and buying low. Fournette is probably one of the ones that I'm trying to get right now.
All right. Mike, who you got?
For the call the shot segment, man, I'm going to go ahead and go with a player who I think will keep it up, who's been producing. You spoke about him earlier. I'm going to go ahead and go with Chris Olave, continuing that direction. He seems to be really adjusting to that offense there in New Orleans. I believe out of rookies or maybe even all wide receivers, but I think he has he's one of the top percentages in creating separation. He's flourishing in that offense, and I think that he'll be able to keep it up and be one of the a really strong wide receiver too, or a really strong flex play for the rest of the year.
I like that one. Who's the 3 wide receivers that got drafted? It was Olave, Garrett Wilson.
It was Olave, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burke over in Tennessee was a third one, but there's a fourth one.
There was London. First round receivers or
wait, Drake London was playing on that team too last year?
No. What are you talking about? 3 receivers from Ohio State or
yeah.
Oh,
that got
okay.
drafted this year. Who were the ones?
Wilson, Olave, and was there another one? No, Burks didn't go to Ohio State.
No, I thought you were saying rookies in general, but
yeah. Burks is Arkansas guy,
right?
Arkansas, yeah. But if there was another,
I thought there's 3
Ohio State receivers. I think only 2. I mean, there could have been one drafted later on, but in the first round there was just Wilson and Olave,
right?
In the first round, yeah.
But yeah, these rookie wide receivers are, like we said before, producing quickly.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, now that there actually technically kind of is 3 now that I think about it, because Jameson Williams actually transferred from Ohio State to Alabama. So he was an Ohio State guy, but he had his career at Alabama or his last year at Alabama, and he got drafted. So he's kind of like in the Joe Burrow mode of a guy who was at Alabama. I mean, it was at Ohio State, but transferred to another school and kind of did his thing there. But yeah, he was initially an Ohio State guy too. So that might be the third guy you were thinking of.
Yeah, maybe. I was like, man, there was 3 studs on that team. I remember.
Yeah,
we'll go with that technicality. But yeah, I can't wait to see what Jameson Williams does. I can't wait. Like he looked he did look good in college. Thought he would have been better. Actually, I felt originally that Drake London was going to be the guy, was going to be the wide receiver. That was going to be like the top one out of all the rookie wide receivers. There's him. There's I remember we were talking about Christian Watson earlier this year. We were talking Romeo Doubs. We were talking about Doubs is looking really good right now as well. See how he does for the rest of the year. But yeah, I can't wait for Williams to get out there and with such a improving Lions team. So any last words, Mike?
Man, no, not really. It was fun as always. Might have been little issues with the subtitles and my recollection of what I said I was going to say, but it is what it is, man. I mean, we do this for fun, and so it was just that. It was fun with my guys. So no. I think it was a good show, and I'm looking forward to this week and hoping that some of my fantasy teams can perform better than we did last week. Last week was another rough week for me, so hoping that we can do a little bit better this week, and hoping that the Cowboys win as well. So beat the Commanders.
I mean, someone should be able to. You guys should be able to take care of the Commanders.
I hope so.
They're not the same as they were last year as far as defense. I mean, their defense was actually pretty stacked last year, but like now it's a little bit different. So you guys should be okay. Us, on the other hand, we play the damn champions. So
you got their number though
on Sunday night. Okay, if we have their number, how come we didn't get to the Super Bowl?
It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year, but
you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
But actually, at my poll at work, I actually picked you guys to win that game for the same reasoning that Manny just said. I feel like you guys kind of have their number, so I think you'll be okay.
Well, and it's the same quarterback, so we'll see what happens. Jimmy G does have his issues, so we'll just generally see what ends up happening. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if this is your very first time watching this show, this was our first time doing a Friday night, so this is gonna be fun we do for the rest of the year. Yeah. So Clip City, that should be the name of the episode. But before next up fantasy show, I'm Will. For Mike, what up?
Yo.
For Manny,
peace out till next week. It was Marvin Harrison Jr., by the way, Mike.
He's still in Ohio State, though.
Yeah, that was a stud. Yeah,
he's gonna be a beast when he comes out, though, for sure.
Yeah.
The man's already a boss, just doing what he does in college. So I'm not mad at that. But you guys have a good night, good morning, good evening, whenever you guys are watching this. See you guys next week.
Peace.